Is that?
Didn't
Can
this happen
anyone hear
last
me
time
now?
too?
I think it happened again. Did it happen again?
Yeah. I
Can
mean, it
everyone hear
happened
me
last
now?
time.
I bet everyone can hear me now. I bet now because I already know what I did wrong. I bet.
Can
Yep.
you guys hear
Now
Alex
they
and
hear
me?
us now. Yeah.
Oh. Well, you know what? I'm going to give the abridged version of what we talked about. I'm tired from
Yeah.
doing a lot of live streams. Alex had to drop off his kids at camp. He recorded for Pablo's channel. The link will be down below. And we're only doing a 3-movie franchise, so we're going to be reviewing some movies. What I was going to say before we realized they couldn't
We
hear
was
us.
not live for the second
Yeah.
time.
In the spirit of 28, I have a couple of movies that I want to review as well. Short.
Yeah.
We'll be short. But if you don't mind, let's do. If you want, I could do those first since we both saw 28. I'm talking like literally 3 minutes tops. I'm gonna breeze through these, and then we'll discuss some 28 years later. Right?
Yep.
Years? Are we up to year?
Yeah, it's
28
years. Yeah, it's
centuries.
years. Yeah. Hey,
All
what's
right.
up, Jerry?
And
Yeah,
what's up, Jerry? What's up, Stephanie, Tony, Triborough?
Yeah,
Welcome.
we could do years. If you want to do years, we could do years.
We'll do years.
If you want.
So, all right, let's do that one first. Let's do that one first because the other ones are going to be short anyway.
Okay.
28 years later, I'm going to let you go. I know your thoughts on the movie a little bit. I don't think we're like leagues off, but this franchise, I know you're not a horror fan.
Yeah.
Did you like 28 Days and Weeks?
So, okay, so I'll say this. In terms of, I like zombie movies. I know you don't. You're not a big fan of it. Me and you like the vampire stuff, like a lot of Universal monsters. Me and you are big on that. But in terms of the zombies, I'm a little bit more bigger fan than you are. So when this one came out, I mean, I don't know how they technically call this zombies because they're really not zombies, but it's a virus, which, you know, I'll say Resident Evil is more zombie-ish with the virus because they get decomposed, whereas this one they're kind of still flesh and bone. Like they're not, you know, like it's like World War Z. Like they don't look like zombies. They look like rabbits, like a virus taking over their brain.
Like, remember I Am Legend?
Yes.
How they're like creatures that they have power. I mean, not that these guys have powers, but like they move quick. They're not undead, right? They're not dead people come back to life.
Yeah.
They are catching a virus and it's making them insane.
Yeah. Oh, well, so I'll say that, look, I didn't like the first one as much. I remember it was a big hoopah because he used like a Canon camera and it was like a filmmaker's whatever. Like, you know, it's like he didn't use a proper camera. It was like a cheapy version of it, full length. And I remember it was a big thing. Wasn't crazy about the first film. I thought it was okay. I liked the sequel way more because it was way more of them running around. And I still think the beginning of that movie, of Weeks, is one of the best openings, I think, to a movie, of a zombie movie, to me. I think it's one of those, it was just bonkers, the way everything unfolds. Yep. When it leads up to Weeks or years, I'm going to be honest with you, Nate, I did not like this one. I did not like Years Later. I did not. I wanted to walk out 10 minutes into this movie. And we talked about it a bit. And it's not because I went in there I didn't go in there hating the movie. I went in to sit down and watch an actual zombie movie. And and you could testify, the first 30 minutes is not even nothing. It's just a normal survivor, like not survivor, it's a survivalist type movie. Yep. With then all of a sudden they'll give you a little flashback, which that movie did start off with the flashback of the blood and all that. But that was prior. I wanted to see present time what happens. And the present time was a 30-minute of father and son how to shoot bow and arrows. And I couldn't take it, bro. I was just like, oh no. Overall of the film, I know there's a message there. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know there's a message, and I know years down the road, it might be one of the big movies. It'll be like, you know, you go back and you go, wow, this is actually pretty good when you sit down and watch it. But as of right now, first thought, like sitting down and going, wow, I've waited plus X amount of years to see this zombie franchise or virus horror movie. And I was disappointed, and I thought the ending sucked. It was one of the worst sucky ass endings I seen in a horror movie. I mean, no, there's worse, like the Texas Chainsaw franchise. But other than that, this one sucks ass. Like it was a horrible ending, and I was disappointed because it's like you're going to a Conjuring movie, and the first 40 minutes they're not doing nothing with demons. It's just them talking to a priest or something like that, or teaching their daughter on how to fight off demons, and you don't see none of that shit. And that's how I felt like with this movie. It was just like a letdown. So, and I wanted more of that, like that whole island coming towards these guys, but we didn't get that. I mean, you got a little bit, but I don't know. It is what it is. But again, I wasn't a big fan of it. And if you ask me a score out of 10, I will say 3 out of a 10 for me. 3 out of a 10. I wasn't too crazy, and I'm never buying this on 4K, like at all. Like I'm never watching this, but it's I was really disappointed.
That's fair. I would say I was disappointed as well. I definitely liked it more than you, but I can't say that I really liked it. You know what I mean? Like, just more than you. But in general, I would not say this was a movie that I was a big fan of. On the plus side, I did like a lot of the cinematography. Like, I thought it was very well made. I like Danny Boyle a lot, the director. I like a lot of his other movies, like better than 28 Days Later. Like, he did The Beach. I really enjoyed that movie. 127 Hours is really good. Train Spotting. You know, like, he's done a bunch of good movies. Slumdog Millionaire. And I like his style. And I think his style is on display with the direction in this movie. So I did like some of that stuff. I like the cast. Like, I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I like Jodie Comer, the mom. Ray Fiennes is always good. Like, I didn't have a problem with those sorts of things. However, where I'm going to agree with you is I did find the story lacking, especially in the first half. I thought the first half was boring. I was bored most of the time. I was like, okay. I feel like they set up the world okay with, like, you know, explaining. Okay, they're on an island. On the mainland there's these more people with the virus. These people are safe over here because they're separated by the water. Blah blah blah. Okay, cool. But then they show it for like a while.
Yeah.
And I get it. I think they were going for kind of a coming of age movie with the son. But, like, that's not really the genre that I would prefer for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
Right? The first one's a very bleak movie. And it definitely falls more into, even though I agree with you, like, I don't really consider them zombies. For lack of a better term, we'll call them zombies. As far as zombie movies, that first one works more as that. Like, guy wakes up, everyone's dead, everything's crazy. And then, you know, every zombie movie, or the top ones, they always have that thing of, like, who's worse, the zombies or the people? And then they get to that mansion at the end, and these guys are trying to turn the women into, like, sex slaves and all. Okay, it works. The second movie is more of, like, an action movie, which I enjoy it. I think it's good. It's fun. It's more fast-paced, more like a horror action. This is like a horror coming-of-age movie, and I think it's a weird mix. I didn't particularly love it. I agree with you. The ending is horrible. It is one of the stupidest. I didn't hate the movie, but I hated the ending. Like, when it stopped, I looked over to my cousin. She didn't like it, by the way. Shout out to Becca. She didn't like the movie. She was like, this movie stinks. But I just looked at her and I was like, what the heck is this? Like, what are we looking at right now? Like, what is going on? And it's too silly. It's a little bit all over the place. It's very chaotic. There's, like I said, there's pluses because technically I think it's good. But I think my final score for this is like a 5 out of 10. I think it's a mixed bag, but I agree. I can't imagine I'd be wanting to sit down and watch this again. I did like the part where they meet the soldier. He added like some energy, some humor. You know what I mean? And there's some action in those parts. And after that, it's back to the stuff with the mom and the son, and I'm like, this is dramatic. I don't know. It's not what I went in wanting, and maybe that's on me.
No, I get what you mean, and I felt, and you're right. Like, even when they meet the soldier, he gave you and then I hate when they do this. They give you a little bit of information because that ties to the sequel. Because you're going, oh boy, if there is a sequel, what he gave you is like, because now you're like, wait a minute, why does he have an iPhone? And now this kid doesn't know there's an iPhone and his phone works. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, don't tell me that this is just an island quarantine and these guys doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like Native Americans, like they're in this land and they grew up there, but the out of world around the island is still humans. You know what I mean? And I wasn't flowing with that, bro. I was just like, oh, no way. Like, I hate that little nugget thing. And I'm like, damn, but that is more, to me, that is more interesting than what we saw for the first 30 minutes of father and son showing how to shoot a bow and arrow. Like, I'm just like, so that annoyed me. And then Ray Fiennes was cool. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'd rather saw the movie around from his point of view instead of the other. Like, I couldn't care. Like, you know, it's just a movie that, and I guarantee you, once the 4K come out, I know. I mean, there's people out there that saying this is a masterpiece and all this, and I'm like, everyone says everything's a damn masterpiece. Like, I don't know. It just, I feel like every movie that comes out, this masterpiece gets stamped on everything. And I'm just like, Jesus, like, this is a masterpiece. The Final Reckoning Mission Impossible is another masterpiece. Freaking
Sinners.
F1, masterpiece. Sinners, masterpiece. I'm like, also, then this whole month we got masterpieces. So, you get what I'm saying? It's like every movie, everyone's like, and if you don't like it, oh, you're not a film. You don't know nothing about film because you couldn't, you know. So it's like, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a little more divisive than some of those other ones. I agree with your sentiment though. But like this one's a little more divisive.
It is.
Again, though, and we talked offline. Like I'm not a. This is not a franchise that I'm like in love with. Like I don't love 28 Days Later. I don't love 28 Weeks Later. I find both of them good in their own right. I own them, but I don't revisit them very often. I'm not like constantly wanting to watch it. I think that thing of like when the new one was announced, everyone started going back and watching them. So it recreated this sort of buzz.
Yeah.
But even that, like the buzz wasn't that because it didn't do amazing at the box office, the new one. Like,
well, because you had to think
about
about
it. An outright flop, but it also was like nowhere near where it was projected earlier.
Well, because there's a lot of hindering to this. One, it's a franchise that I guarantee Gen Z never seen. Okay, it's not one of those like top 10 zombie movies, and it's not even up there because again, it's not one of those. And if you talk to people and you say what is the best zombie movie, most of everyone will say Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder version. A lot of people will pick that one. George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. You got the original Dawn of the Dead. Thank you, boo. Yep. You got
original Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, pretty much the Romero
exactly
of the Dead movies. Early on. Yeah.
So like the 28 Days franchise is not one of those that you just go, oh, like you know what I mean. So that hindered it too.
Oh, Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead is a big one. But again, it's and I felt like the marketing wasn't as good to get people into that seat because I felt like the trailers wasn't as good. Like I thought the first trailer was good when it was doing that stupid song and it was all the clips of everything, but I felt like it was a little misleading for Papa Al. They mislead me in the trailer.
Well, look, it had a $60 million budget. Mm-hmm. It's made 103 worldwide, which is, I mean,
that's not good.
It's not great. It will make its money when it comes to home release and stuff. But just for an example, F1, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute, has only been out for 3 days and it's made 144 worldwide. So it's already way past it. Like the 28 years later had a short window. I don't think it really capitalized.
Do me a favor. Did Meg 2.0 come out?
It did. It finished,
okay. How much did it do?
This weekend or something.
What's the money wise?
10 million domestic.
That's it? Well, that trailer was kind of whack, though. I'm not going to lie. That trailer was... And I never seen it, so...
I'm going to review Megan 2.0, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on F1. Let me go to the chat really quick, and then we'll do that. So anyway, a 3 from you, 3 out of 10, a 5 from me. Yeah. We didn't love it, and I think it could have been better.
Well, can I just read something quick before you do your other reviews? So Tony goes,
That's what I was going to read. The chat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was like, go ahead. I'll let you do it.
Oh yeah.
You can
So
go.
Tony first said, "I really liked it a lot." 28 years later, I could definitely see why some people don't like it, especially the ending. It's very polarizing. But hot take, not for Tony. It's just a take for Tony. A hot take. I love it personally, and easily in my top 5 best movies. I'm gonna need you to clarify, Tony. Do you mean top 5 of the year?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what he means. And then his next thing was bring on the second entry of this new trilogy. It's doing exactly well, so we definitely going to be getting that third.
You're not getting a sequel. You're not getting a 2 and 3. If this movie doesn't hit,
the 2's coming out because it's already like.
I don't know,
it's
dude.
Already done. It's due for January, so it's like already either filmed or been filming. But the third is the one that I'm not sure about.
I'll be honest with you. Nate, I'm gonna tell you right now. If this one doesn't do that good and 2 flops, there's no 3.
I agree. I could see 3 getting muddled up. 2, I think it's gonna happen because they're so far along. But
well, they better have a lot of zombies to get my ass in that seat, because I'm not going back to see a sequel.
A different director too, by the way. No, Danny Boyle's not directing it.
You know what? Then if it's a different director, we're gonna get a lot of zombies. I'm telling you right now.
No, you know who's directing it? The director of The Marvels.
Then we're not getting zombies.
I'll give her. She did do Candyman, the remake, which I thought was pretty good. So
okay,
it's better than The Marvels, that's for sure. Okay, Jay is here. He says, "What's up to everybody?"
What's up, brother Jay?
Stephanie says, "I also hated the ending." So she agrees with us. Not a fan.
Scott
is here. All right, Tony and Nate, thoughts on the? Okay, I'll talk about those in a second. That's a bit preposterous to me, which. To me, a masterpiece is something like District 9 and The Tree of Life and The Shape of Water. So he's saying he agrees with you in the sense of everyone saying everything is a masterpiece is crazy. And then he gave some movies that he thinks are masterpieces. Haas McPizza's here. What's up, Haas?
Hey, what's up, Haas?
Living Dead. Tony says Land of the Dead is very underrated. I don't like that movie.
I saw it on the 4K. I didn't like it again. Yeah, I did not like it.
Not crazy about that. Tribro says, will they still film the other 2? Only 2.
Nate said the sequel's coming out. So
as far as I know, 2 is like good. 3 is the one that I don't know. Haas says, what do you guys think about the new Superman? Some of the footage release has me. Okay, maybe we can touch on that, and then we'll get to before we get to Back to the Future.
Yeah. We'll do that.
Of the year. Okay. Let me give my quick. I'm gonna do some quick.
Someone said about the iPhone. Before you go, I'll say this about the iPhone. The entire movie was not shot on iPhones. I'm gonna say this right now. The entire movie was not shot on iPhones. Certain scenes he used the iPhones because he said it was easier to maneuver. I think the scenes.
Years?
Yeah. The entire movie wasn't iPhones. Like the scenes that they were open in the fields, he said was easier than carrying those big ass cameras. Yeah. Those you could tell were iPhones. But I don't think the entire movie, because the entire movie was crispy. In a lot of scenes, I was like, this is not an iPhone shot. And I was looking for it.
Walking across the thing, and it's like the night sky with the northern lights.
Yeah, that's not. That was not iPhone. The ones that you see them in the woods and everything, those were iPhone shots. And the ones that you see like the 360 around, and they're all like, wah, that was all iPhones. Yeah, the quick zooms. Those were all iPhone. And I'm gonna be honest with you, those shits were dope.
I agree.
They were dope. They were dope.
Kind of stuff I liked.
Yeah,
those
was dope.
Little like flourishes.
Yeah,
like, okay, that's cool. I like that.
When he was shooting his arrows and you see the iPhone kicking and it was spinning, and I was like, that was all dope. But other than that, that was like the only time you get all that stuff. And I was just like, let down. Because I wish it was like a lot of zombies and everything with the iPhones. But we didn't get that. But just to answer your question, the iPhones were not through the whole movie. That was misleading because a lot of people thought the whole entire thing was no. It was here and there and there. Okay.
It was just selected scenes. And you can kind of tell more handheld stuff.
Yeah.
iPhone. Okay. Now this weekend, Megan 2.0 new release finished in 4th place. It only finished $500,000 ahead of 28 Years Later in its 2nd week.
That's not good.
It was horrible. It did very bad. And then the number 1 movie of the weekend, F1, domestic 55 million. International, it did like almost 90 million. Which makes sense because F1 is a very international sport.
That's what I was going to say. Like, isn't Italy have the big racing thing in the streets? Because Iron Man 3 wasn't in it? Iron Man 3 was that.
That's a Monaco. I think they do Monaco. Yeah. But there's all Middle East. like
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi, I think, or Saudi Arabia, one of them. They do races all over. So yes, it's very
It's a
international.
very internet. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna give you my quick 2 cents. Which do you want first, Megan or F1? I saw them back to back.
I'll say this. Let's get rid of Megan quick.
Let's get rid of Megan quick.
Yeah.
Okay, Megan 2.0. Now I will say I liked the first one. I thought it was pretty good. I don't think it was amazing, but I thought it was pretty good. Had some decent humor, kind of like a satirical look at this of like technology and how it could be used for evil, blah blah blah, whatever. I thought it was fun. I did not like this sequel at all. And you're right. The trailers, to me, the trailers looked bad. And I was saying it. I even said it on Instagram. I'm like, this movie looks like Megan mixed with Spy Kids. and like, it does. That's what it looked like. And I meant more so tonally, because I know Tony replied to me, of course, but I didn't mean visually. I just meant tonally. It looked like an action, like a kid's action movie with, Megan. I was right. It is a little bit okay. It's not for kids. It is PG-13, so yes, teenagers can go see it. It has some violence that I think is a little bit edgy for PG-13. I'll give it that. Okay, you have pretty much the main cast returning. The girl, both girls. I think it was her aunt, and the young girl, and then her friends or whatever. Bro, this movie is horrible. It's bad. I was bored. It's way overly plotted. Like there's way too much like dialogue and exposition and them explaining plans, like why they're doing what they're doing. This was like, it was like, remember in Mission Impossible that a lot of people complained about there being too much exposition? This is like that, but in 2 hours. It's just nonstop explaining technology and how it's evil and how it's good and how we should use it, how we shouldn't use it. And then in between all this, you got Megan trying to fight against this other robot AI thing. They try to throw a twist. It is the most obvious and blatant twist you'll ever see coming. You will not be surprised by it. It's not a horror movie. They totally jumped that genre. So the first movie you could say is like a comedic horror. This is an action movie, but the action's not good. Like it's not like, whoa, there's a great action scene or anything like that. So I give this one a 4 out of 10. It's not good. Visually, there's some okay things here and there, and there was one scene that did make me laugh. One scene, but I would say I was disappointed, but I can't because I thought it looked horrible, and then it was. So there's Megan. F1. Now, Alex, I'm gonna tell you right now. You need to go. You need to go to the theater. You tell Angelina, get dressed. Call the babysitter, get dressed. You
get
will.
Dressed.
Always gotta start with get dressed. People in their house clothes. Go put on some outside clothes. Go to the movies. I promise you, if you see this in IMAX, you will have an experience. This movie was fantastic. And I'm not. You know me. I've given out 110 this year. I know some people, they give out, like you were mentioning, they give out 5 out of 5 stars, 4.5. I've given 1.5, and it was to Sinners. I thought it was fantastic. I don't say masterpiece ever. Usually after a movie's been out for a while, maybe, but not a new movie. I would say the same about F1. I'm not saying this is a masterpiece. What I'm saying is this is probably the most theatrical, great experience of the year for me, in my opinion. As great as Sinners was as a film and the IMAX was well used, this is like what that format is kind of built for. Joseph Kosinski kills it. You're in the freaking car a lot of times. I don't know, they put IMAX cameras in these cars or what. It's like you're just driving, you feel it. The sound is incredible. That's what I'm saying. Don't do Dolby. I know Dolbys are nice. IMAX, I'm telling you. Brad Pitt is awesome. I love the character. I love the story. It is simple. It is if you've seen sort of a sports movie, you know what I mean? Like any sports movie.
Yeah.
Where there's someone who's maybe an underdog or maybe you're not expecting much. I will say, because I'm not gonna do spoilers, they do some things that are a little different that I found very interesting with the other. So the basic plot is Brad Pitt is called in by his friend Javier Bardem. He used to race F1 when he was in his 20s. He had a bad accident, So he left F1, and now he basically is like a racing mercenary. He will just show up at an event, race that event, get paid, and leave, and go look for the next event. And he'll race any style: NASCAR, IndyCar, motorcycle, doesn't matter, any race. Javier Bardem's like, bro, I need you, please. We need you to come back and do F1. He's reluctant, but they have this up and coming kind of star, and Bardem kind of wants him to mentor him. It's that kind of thing. But they play with that in a lot of interesting ways that I thought was very good. Cast is great. Bardem is great. Kerry Condon, amazing. Love her. Brad Pitt, great. I thought the movie was great. I don't have really any problems with it. I did give it a 10 out of 10. And a lot of that is just pure entertainment factor.
Yeah.
This is not Oscar caliber script, but I could see it getting nominated for other things. Sound design, if it's not, I would be shocked. It was not nominated for technical stuff. Hans Zimmer score.
Yeah, I heard the sound is like super like one guy had like an iPhone his iPhone on and walking by the theater and you could hear it from like out the door.
Dude, so loud, but not the kind of loud that like hurts your ears, like the good kind of loud.
Oh, that's what I like. Yeah,
like you're at a concert.
In my ears. Yeah.
Great soundtrack, great score by Hans Zimmer, great use of the IMAX format. Good performances. It's 2.5 hours. It flies by. I promise you. It does not feel 2.5 hours. When it's over, you'll be like, damn. If I sat it for another 15 minutes, I would have been okay. So I did give this one a 10 out of 10. I loved it. And I think you would like it a lot as well. Even if you're not, I'm not even into F1. I barely know anything about it. They do a good job of getting you in the world and up to speed where you'll know what's going on.
Now that's from the director of Top Gun Maverick, right?
It is Joseph Kosinski.
Okay.
Who I think we're gonna have to start talking about as one of the more underrated directors because you have Tron Legacy, then Oblivion with Tom Cruise.
I like that movie.
Great movie. Then Only the Brave, which is a fantastic movie. Then Maverick. Then this. Like he hasn't made a bad movie.
And then I think the experience of Top Gun Maverick, putting the cameras in the F-16 and everything, I think he used that and then made it into the F1. Like, wait a minute. If Tom Cruise could do it, then everybody could do it. So,
dude, it is great. And you had Lewis Hamilton, who was an F1 racer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in them, and they had a bunch of real racers in the movie. He was also a producer, which I'm sure helped for accuracy. He's like, no, this is how it really is. Fantastic. Great movie. Favorite theater experience of the year so far.
I
would say Sinners is a better film, but this is worth seeing in a theater.
I'll definitely go check it out in the IMAX.
So let's see.
Yeah.
I was going to say, okay, chat, that's really, Tony said that's weird because the first Megan did good at the box office. It did.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest with you, Tony. I never seen the first Megan, and when I saw the trailer to this, I remember texting Nate going, this shit is whack. Like, it just looked horrible. And you were right. It looked like a teeny bopper zombie. I mean, not zombie. I'm saying like a Chucky, female Chucky with like, you put me inside me and I could do this. And I'm like, oh, God. Like, that looks so bad.
It's worse in this movie. And also, Tony, you got to
horrible.
remember, that had a January release. So it's easier to make money in January than it is in July or June when you're going against other, heavy hitters. Stephanie said, no intention of checking out Megan 2.0. Maybe when it's streaming. Good luck. And that one's 2 hours, and it feels longer than F1. So she loved F1 as well. Tony says, how about How to Train Your Dragon? I won't review that. It's been out for a while. Haven't seen Megan 2, but I heard it goes for something completely different than the first one, which has me interested. Good luck. I really liked F1, but I heard I had a very bad theater. That's right. Tony had people fighting in his theaters. So,
oh, that kind of sucks. That sucks.
Yeah. I told him, though, he goes to a theater here that is like, I never go there. It's the most ratchet movie theater. It's like all the little bad kids go there, all the little high school kids that don't know how to act. The area that it's in is not my favorite area. So he said he's never had bad experiences there. As a fellow Floridian, like Central Floridian, I never go to that theater. It's horrible, but he likes it. So,
jeez.
Tribro says, and to think they wanted a Megan and Chucky crossover.
Yeah, well, I mean, even like I remember, I think Sam Raimi talked about the whole Evil Dead, Ash versus Freddy versus Jason movie, and he said that fell apart so fast because the movie companies wanted one of like Freddy or Jason to win and Ash to die, and he's just like, but how does that work? Like, you gotta have a winner, and they couldn't even come up upon with it, and then just fell apart. which is true.
That's the
He's like,
problem
you
with
have
those
three
movies.
you have three iconic characters. Everyone's gonna want one of those things to win. I said my theory was I told Angelina what would have been dope was they should have filmed 3 different endings of which one's winning and played them in all different theaters. So you make
Like
people
who?
go, yes. You have Freddy winning in one, you have Ash winning in one, and then you have Jason winning in one. And this solves the problem of who gets to win, and then everyone can have their favorite moment of Freddy killing Ash, Freddy killing Jason, Jason killing Ash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get it all knocked out in that way. That's how I would have solved that problem, but no, they wanted to have that one main. So Sam Raimi was like, no.
That
Like,
is a smart idea. You know,
Yeah.
Clue did it wherever, depending when you saw it. Someone else was the one who did the murder, and then you get now where you get the 4K or the Blu-ray, whatever, and it has all 3 endings, and you could
Yeah.
just watch all 3.
you have fun with that, but
Yeah.
I'm with that one. All right, Superman. Let's do
CF1,
this
guys,
quick.
CF1.
CF1.
Don't be making 2. I mean, see it if you want. I don't recommend it. but
All right, so Hoss McPizza.
Pizza.
McPizza. He talked about Superman quick. I'll say this quick. I am skipping a lot of trailers because they're showing way too much in the movie, and I do agree some of the stuff I was just like, no bueno for me. And I hate that when they throw scenes in and it just gets me like, it's gonna irk me. So I was just like, I'm trying to skip. So I haven't been like on Twitter much no more because I know a lot of people who've seen it and they signed NDAs and all this, but I'm like, some idiot is still gonna put out photos of the movie.
Yeah.
Leak something out. But in terms of Superman, I'm actually looking forward to it. I got IMAX tickets for I think the fan event for Thursday, the release. So I'm gonna be watching it there. But I am looking forward to it. My expectations are not. I'm going in there just to go in there. I'm not saying it's high. I'm not saying it's low. I'm just gonna go with the flow. Yeah.
I will say I'm less. I think I said it in our group chat. I
Yeah.
hate the way this movie looks. I don't like it.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I mean, from a visual style, I have not seen anything that I thought looked. One shot that I thought looked cool, where he's doing the laser eyes and he's spinning in a circle and like hitting everything. I thought that looked cool. Other than that, it's too bright. It's too, and I don't mean bright. I know, I don't mean the character. I don't mean I want dark. What I mean is just like visually, it looks too blown out to me, and some of the stuff I've seen. Listen, you already know, Alex. I don't even like Superman that much.
No, I know. I mean, the only reason why I like the way that looks because of the blown. I like that it looks like a comic book sheet on paper, but I have certain things. I don't like the way he's flying, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, this looks." I don't like the camera in the guy's face with that stupid look. Like it looks like it's just a weird angle looking. I don't know. I'm not big on the flying thing, but there are some dope scenes when he's like, "Hey, buddy, look at me," and he just takes off. I was like, "That's kind of dope." I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, eyes up here because I'm like, "Where's my man looking at?" That he's telling him to look.
I would say everything I've seen of the actor,
He looks good.
He's grown on me. I kind of dig him. I think he
Yeah.
looks like Superman. He sounds like Superman. I'm cool with low. I like the cast pretty good, but look,
Yeah.
this movie is 50-50 for me. I could literally go in and hate it, or I could go in and really enjoy it. I like James Gunn more than you as far as his movies.
Yeah.
But I'm not excited for Superman. I'd be lying if I said I was excited.
I will say this. If I come out liking the movie, awesome. I'm like, you know what? DC did something, right? If I come out going, yeah, it's okay, I'll still buy the movie because I support my DC movies. My only thing is I hope coming out of this theater, and I know it, and I'm gonna say now, people are gonna be like, oh my god, Alex is whatever. I have a feeling, and I told you this it might happen. The Lex Luthor, he's gonna be like, oh my god, this guy's the best Lex Luthor since Gene Hackman because he's better than the dude from Man of Steel or the Batman v Superman version. Because Zack Snyder gonna know how to direct that movie, and that movie stinks. And it's gonna be a whole battle between these characters versus the Zack Snyder characters, and it's gonna be a revolving door once this movie comes out. And I'm tired of it. Like I'm so tired of reading through the the threads or going through Instagram and these movies are getting compared. It's like, bro, it's like, leave it alone. It's just like you going to a comic book store. Everyone has their own writing on these characters. If you don't like it, you pick up another issue, you read that comic, and you move it along. That's how it is, bro. It's the same thing with movies. If you don't like that guy's rendition of it, and guess what? Nate doesn't like Richard Donner's Superman. So you could go on him, go to Netflix reviews on Instagram and tear him up.
Don't get Cal Daly just showed it. He heard Superman. And
he heard it. Yeah.
Don't get him riled up because, but I know he loves them. Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah,
okay.
But Haas says, yeah, for me, his yelling too much with an odd, screechy voice, Crypto, the amount of characters.
It looks like it has a lot of characters. I don't know.
I mean, it looks like a lot. And I told you that was my biggest warning when I saw it the first time. I was like, oof, this is a lot. This is a big cast. Like, how are they gonna utilize that? But
well, you know what? I'll say, okay, let's go with cautiously optimistic.
That's a good one.
I like the director enough to believe he knows how to make a good movie. It's just not a character I'm super enthusiastic about. So I'll go cautiously optimistic real quick, and then let's get into some Back to the Future. Tony says, Nate, you once said that you saw a fight when you went to see Jeepers Creepers 3. That's true, but that was at Disney. That was actually at the Disney movie theater. That was not
Jesus, really?
One by my house. Yeah, I went to Jeepers Creepers 3. Two guys got in a fight. It was hilarious. It was a horrible movie. Everyone should have just got up and left, but these guys wanted to fight each other. Then he said that's why Nate loves Man of Steel more than most people, because some Reeves fans hate Man of Steel. Interesting. Jay says, can he pull off Clark Kent, though? I think so. That's what I meant. I think he looks good as both. Cal says Michael Rosenbaum is the best Lex Luthor. So for his money, that's his guy, Smallville. Tony agrees with you. He says he could definitely see that happening. And then Cal says, movie just looks cheap. Also, don't want to see Superman sidelined in his own movie. Maybe
I don't know yet. We don't know yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. The movie's kind of long, isn't it?
It's a pretty long movie. But I've been saying it could be one of those movies that you're getting both characters. You're getting the Clark Kent side and you're getting Man of Steel side. You know what I mean? You're getting the Superman, because you don't get much of both, right? Like even when we got the Batman movies, we didn't get both of characters. You only got Batman, or you got a little bit of Bruce and a lot of Batman. You don't get the both.
It's 2 hours and 9 minutes, so it's not that long.
So you're gonna so they're gonna give you a lot of Clark and a lot of Superman stuff. I have a feeling. And then the 30,000 characters like Lex and the other buffoons. But yeah,
I'm more worried about Lex than anything.
He looks pretty good. From what I've seen in the trailer, he looks pretty good.
But I've heard some things.
Oh yeah.
About the character, and I'm not. I won't say, but I didn't like it. I'll just say that. I was like, that sounds.
Oh boy.
But maybe it's fake. I don't know. You know what I mean? You can never know these days.
Yeah.
There's there's leaked information, but like, who saw it at the time? I don't even know if it was done yet. So.
Yeah. I don't know. But all right, let's see. Pizza said, I hope it's decent, but I worry it's gonna be too Marvel team up funny and well, the one thing I did hear was it's not as funny as people think it is.
Okay.
They said it's some jokes here and there, but it's not as what you think with the Marvel stuff. But I don't know. Again, it's people. Hearsay. She said, like, I don't know. That's what they say. Look, we'll find out. But here on the channel, we're gonna do a special Superman episode. We'll talk about all the Supermans, our favorite Supermans, all that crap in one live show for you guys. And then of course we're gonna talk about the new one. In 2 weeks, we're gonna do all our Supermans in one shot. And then talking about the actual.
We're just gonna have to talk about them because there ain't no way I'm going to.
No. We don't need to rewatch it. I think Superman to go around for everybody. But yeah, that'll be fun to do. Yeah, we'll talk about all the Lexes. We'll talk about all the different Supermans, all the Lois Lanes, all the Jimmy Olsens, all my man Perry White. And if you want to even talk about Perry Black, there's more Fishburns in the new version, like whatever you want to do, we'll talk about it live on the show. Well, leading up to it. All right, let's throw some Back to the Future. So 1985, Eric Stoltz was attached to play Marty McFly. 2 weeks later, George Steinbrenner, Steven Spielberg, Zemeckis got together and they're like, brother, we need another leading man because this guy can't cook the bacon in the kitchen, right? And they were like, you're right. Who can we get? And they were like, wow, Family Ties is out. My man Michael J. Fox looking good, short guy, looking hot, little Mikey, right? And they're like, wait a minute, this guy looks pretty good. I think we're gonna have to send this guy a script and see what happens. Send him a script, and Michael J. Fox is like, you know what? We might be able to do this. And then Family Ties like, well, there's no way we're gonna write this guy out. He's gonna have to do the TV show plus doing Back to the Future back to back. And my man did it. And you know what? We gotta say, I give a lot of respect to Michael J. Fox because he did some crazy. If you look at his documentaries on this, he talks about it, all how he did both shows. I give him a lot of respect because, man, I don't think I could pull that sleeping habit that he had. It was like sleeping in the car.
Time. It was never very now. Different time back then.
Maybe, yeah. So, all right, 1985, Back to the Future came out. All right, $381.1 million at the box office.
In 80s money.
Money.
It's like probably
a lot of money.
Close to $1 billion now.
Yeah.
At least 800.
Yeah, it's up there. It's pretty much up there. Now, Nate, let's talk about your first experience with the future of Part 1.
Yes. So this movie came out before I was born, so I did not see this in a theater. My first time seeing Back to the Future, I don't remember. You know what? Actually, and I did this, and I don't mean to, repeat stuff from other streams, but I live in Florida. I live in Orlando, and I grew up going to the theme parks here. My first experience with Back to the Future was the ride at Universal Studios. So I went on that ride before I even knew what that movie was. When I was a kid, pretty much all we watched was Disney movies, and I had the tapes of Ninja Turtles 1 and 2. So like, I'm talking like age 5 to like 8 or 9. Like that's what I watched or what was on TV. So I didn't own Back to the Future. I never saw Back to the Future, but I've been on the ride at at Universal Studios. And I was like, this is the best ride. I love it. The music is awesome. This is so good. Then you go, then eventually you got a little older. I have access to money. I could buy things. Bought Back to the Future Blu-ray trilogy. Watched it for the first time. So when it came out on Blu-ray was the first time I saw it. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe 12 years ago, 13, something like that. I don't know. But it's not a movie I grew up with at all. So I've only seen these as an adult.
Whoa.
Yes, and Back to the Future 1. Are we good? Are we reviewing, or that's all you want to know? What was my first?
No. You do what you want to do.
Okay. I think it's a classic. I do. It's one of those movies where even if you didn't grow up with it, when you watch it, you could see why people love it so much, or why people in the 80s would have, flocked to this movie. I think Zemeckis did an amazing job. He was like. Steven Spielberg was a producer. This feels like a Spielberg movie that was not directed by him, but it has the same flavor. The score by Alan Silvestri is amazing, super memorable. Michael J. Fox, the movie gods smiled and were like, Eric Stoltz broke his leg or whatever in that skating accident. We need you know what? You're out. Michael J. Fox in, perfect. Christopher Lloyd, great. Crispin Glover, Leah Thompson. Tom Wilson, Tom F. Wilson, that's Biff. Everyone is like perfect in their parts. You know what I mean? Huey Lewis and the News. It's got like the iconic song. And I feel like a lot of the best 80s movies like have a song. You know what I mean? Not all, but a lot of them. And I just think everything works. Like this movie is one of those movies where everything worked. It's funny. It's got a good story. It's got heart to it. It's got good characters that you like and ones that you hate on purpose. And I think it's fantastic. So, yeah, even though I didn't grow up with it, I feel like I did because I've seen it a lot of times as an adult.
Well, this one I grew up with. Like this one, I remember on TV. And the first time I seen this, I mean, I don't remember exactly what time I remember, like when I grew up watching. But I remember when I saw it was the Twin Pine Mall scene. And Doc pulls out with the DeLorean the first time. I was just like, oh, and it was just pulled back, and then and I was just like, what is it? And then the car starts to flash, and then goes through time, and I was like, whoa! Remember the score was really amazed. I was amazed by that, but yeah, I wasn't like back then, like a film geek. But I remember my dad had this on VHS. He brought it on VHS, the first one on VHS, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I warped the crap out of it because I always liked that scene. I always liked the ending scene when Doc is putting the thing on, and he's like, oh, when he yanks it
on the clock tower.
Yeah, on the clock tower. Yeah, he yanks it, and he's like, oh, and then the car is passing by. Like I love that in the thing, and like even watching it now as an adult, it hits different than when I was younger. Cause I was like, man, there's a lot of emotional scenes. And I'm not saying I cried like Scott does, like in all these stupid movies, but Scott cried. Oh yeah, he cried in Bad Boys because they killed the dude. Yeah. So, but it was a lot of emotional times, right? Like when he talks to his parents and he's saying their final goodbyes and the music is playing soft. He's like, oh, remember? Do me a favor if your son burns his bed at the age of 8, just don't go too hard on him. Like I thought that was pretty cool. Even with Doc, when he was just like, I don't want to know about the future. He's ripping it. He's like, I gotta tell. Like, there's a lot of like emotional stuff, but then there's the shockers, right? Because I was telling Angelina when we were watching it, I was like, man, I wish I was in the theater when Marty was talking and he's like, what year is it? And the mom is like, oh, this is back in 1955 and you get to see Leon Thompson all hot for the first time. I wanted to see how people saw her as old and then that reaction of seeing her as the mom super young. And the dad, right? When they like McFly and they both turn around in the
little diner thing?
In the diner, yeah. So like I thought I was like, man, I wanted to be there for the first time for those encounters. McFly's encounters with the parents, because I'm like, it's still shocking when you're like, man, makeup and good acting, it's you have all that together. I mean, even Doc, like he was super young, the actor at the time, and they had to make him up old to look. So
and they have a joke about that in the second one, which was kind of funny.
Oh, yeah, when he peels off. We'll talk about yeah.
One, but yes, and you know what else too? Like the movie is it's like a comedy. You could tell they wrote it to be, okay, let's get the comedy stuff in because it's funny. It's not like hilarious funny. Like I don't was crying laughing, but it's funny. And then they're like, okay, now maybe we have a concept for something with time travel, but let's write it as a comedy. So like the comedy works, but then the time travel stuff works. I mean, as good as time travel stuff can work. Probably doesn't exist. So anything they do is they're making it up on the go. But one thing the movie does extremely well is the continuity, especially in this first movie. It's tight. Everything that happens has a result or some resulting thing, even if it's a throwaway, like the Twin Pines thing. Everyone knows, like Twin Pine Mall. He hits the one tree, and the guy's like, "He hit my tree." And later, when he comes back, it's the Lone Pine Mall. It's like a callback that. People, I bet you a lot of people didn't notice, but if you're paying attention, like, hey, wait a second, now that's called the Lone Pine, because he ran over it. Even that scene though cracks me up when the two that make me laugh the most when he does at the beginning with the giant speaker, just the visual of that giant speaker. He just hits one note and just goes flying. Amazing. And then the dad when he's old, Crispin Glover, they're at the table and he's watching that show and the way he laughed. Dude, it's so funny. It's so weird. But yeah, I think the movie's great, and I did get to go. 2023 at Universal Hollywood. I got to walk the set for Back to the Future.
Oh, that's right. You were at Hill Valley.
I went to it, yeah, and it was, dude, it's surreal. Because now every time I watch this, I'm like, I walked on that sidewalk. I saw the clock tower building. I saw the gas station. I saw it. And that now it ruined it a little bit because now all I can see is that, because I know it doesn't go past a certain, I mean, it does, but it's like, whatever. But still, it was such a cool experience. And I got to see the Lion Estates, the little things that are outside of the neighborhood. Yeah. They're just wood. They're like wood and plaster. They're not like stone or anything like that. So, flawless movie, really. I love it. I think it holds up. It stands the test of time. Great.
Oh no, and you're right. And the thing is like even with the cast assemble, right? Like the assemble of the cast, it's fantastic. The music is what elevates this damn movie. I don't know how many times I'm sitting there watching it and I'm blasting my damn Sonos sound system and then it starts to pick up dun, 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 and he gets in the car and it's like then it gets real loud and you hear the car go off and I'm like, yo, I'm getting amped. And I've seen this thousands of times, and I'm starting to get emotionally invested in the movie again because like you want him to go into the thing, and I love it. And my favorite scenes is with Doc because I think Doc's character is so funny when he's not trying to be funny. But I love the scenes that when he's interacting with Marty. I thought that was funny. He's like when they're in the when they're about to go when he's packing up to leave, right? And he's like, huh, how do I forget? He's like, I need more plutonium. That's the only way we can get back. I don't know if they got my cotton underwears in the future. He's allergic to cotton. He's like, he can't. So like that's funny. I thought that was hilarious.
Even
and
when
then
you
the
first meet Doc, when he's like the Libyans. When he's
oh
like,
yeah,
yelling
yeah,
about the Libyans,
yeah.
it's
That
always
was funny. Oh, when he meets him in 1955. Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, Doc, I came from the future because you sent me. He's like, oh, yeah? Who's the president? He's like, oh, that's easy. Ronald Reagan. The actor? Who's the vice president? Jerry Lewis? Like,
yeah, that's funny.
That, like, you have a lot of scenes like that is just so freaking funny. But they have a friendship that you could technically say it went through all time because they went through all time. And Marty likes Doc a lot. They have like this crazy, I don't know how they became friends, but they're just friends out of the woodwork and they have a great relationship. And it's so funny when he's like, when he's in there, you did not interact with any other person besides me today, right? He went, about that. And you see the mom knock on the door.
Yeah, even that, it's like, it's in the wrong hands. It's super creepy that the mom's hitting on him.
But it makes sense, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Zemeckis handles it well. I don't find the movie creepy about it. It's a creepy concept inherently. But, like, I think they did a good job of making it, like, humorous, you know what I mean? Like she keeps calling him Calvin. He's like, why you call me Calvin? Like what? It's like you're Calvin Klein. I never. Yeah,
your underwear has
like,
Calvin.
Where's
my pants? Oh, when Marty goes into the diner for the first time, he goes, "Hey kid." He's like, came off a boat. He's like, why? He goes, and then this guys came in. He says, "Hey Bev, look, this punk thinks he's gonna drown."
Yes. Oh my gosh. He orders a Pepsi, a Diet Pepsi or whatever.
He goes, "Hey, you got a tab?" He goes, "Hey kid, you gotta order something if you want a tab."
Give me a Pepsi free. He's like, it can't be free. You gotta pay whatever.
Yeah, like it made like, and you're so right. Like the jokes are handled so well. Like even when you're. Like they did it in a language that as an audience member you could understand. Like Tab is a big soda in the 80s. Like not many people drink it now, but back then in the 80s it's like, oh, Tab. So it's kind of funny. Like nowadays I think if they do, like they're not remaking Back to the Future, but I'm saying if they do it now, it'll be more language of now in the situation of where Marty goes back in time. Will be the same thing. But what do people say about
all right. So lots of chatter on Back to the Future 1, not surprisingly. Tribro says Back to the Future, one of the best trilogies. Hoss McPizza says, thank God Zemeckis put a clause in his contract that Back to the Future couldn't be remade. That's why it's one of the few popular properties Hollywood hasn't milked to death. He knew it was going to be a banger, and you know that it would have been remade 3 times by now.
That's pretty interesting because I know for a fact that these companies want Jaws and Back to the Future remade. Like you could tell they chomping at the bits like, brothers, can you just, and they're like, hell no. And by the way, before Nate goes on reading all you guys' stuff, Robert Zemeckis made this movie out of $19 million and it made $385 million. So, I mean,
good return on your investment.
Very good return. That car must have cost like $200,000 to make. Well, the practical, exactly. But yeah, keep reading. We got Tony movie chat.
Tony says, well, Zemeckis and Bob Gale own the rights, and once they're dead, the family members' estates will own it. So, yeah, Back to the Future will never get a remake. Greenlight's here. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Greenlight?
Long time no see. He says, my favorite trilogy of all time. Trevor says hello to him. Tony says, I saw Back to the Future in 2015. Wow. LOL. But yeah, the first one is definitely one of the best 80s movies ever, and I love my guy Biff. So he's a Biff fan.
Biff is pretty funny, though.
He's funny. He is funny. In this movie, he's funny.
Yeah, he is.
I have different Well, we'll get to them, but I like him in this. Tony, they're saying hello to each other. Greenlight says, I totally agree. It's good to watch an old movie that you've seen as a child. I think he was agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Jay says, Huey Lewis and the News passed on the Ghostbusters soundtrack to do this one.
I don't think they would have been good
Well,
to
it's a
do
good
this.
song.
The Power
No,
of
I
Love.
feel
Yeah,
like
it's a good
everything-
song, but I don't think that style of music fits the Ghostbusters. Like I don't see how.
Well, it doesn't matter because it has that other song that's good. It all worked out in the end.
Oh yeah, the Ghostbusters theme song is it's the most iconic song. But yeah.
And then Greenlight says you'll realize you see it differently when you're at a different stage in life. True.
Yeah,
Tony says,
that
but
is
it's
true.
also hilarious that Zemeckis doesn't want anyone to remake Back to the Future, but is okay with doing a crappy job at remaking The Witches 2020 and Disney Pinocchio. Tony, you have to like those movies. You love remakes. Stop.
Wait. Wait.
Tony Remake Chappie. That should be his new name.
That should
he
be,
loves
yeah.
remakes. Triborough
Yeah,
says,
but just because I just want to say is just because a director takes a remake movie doesn't mean that he's like agreeing on board. It's just something he wants to do. But he ain't gonna green like a crappy.
he's also getting paid.
He's
So,
getting paid
yeah,
a lot of money.
exactly.
I think if they offer him a lot of money plus whatever to do Back to the Future, but I think my theory is the way Michael J. Fox is with his Parkinson's, I think is the reason why the writers and directors are like no. You know what I mean? I think it hits a different tone because that's Michael J. Fox's biggest franchise movie. You know what I mean? Like,
He's most known for.
Yeah, he's known for that. So imagine remaking it, and then you have to have his ass roll down the damn red carpet with his Parkinson's, and it's
And
like
who can even play that? I wouldn't even want that role if I was like an actor. I'd be like, no thanks,
yeah,
I'm out. Doc Brown, I feel like there's people who'd want to do it.
Yeah.
Marty McFly, I wouldn't want it.
I mean, there'll be like Tom Holland, and there'll be people with those vote Tom Holland, which I could see, but I'm like, no, just leave the movie for what it is at this point.
No. Triborough again says still the best one of the trilogy. So this is his favorite. So we're gonna get to the ranking, but we already know where Triborough is going with number one. Then Tony says my only issue with the trilogy is they keep doing that stupid Pinard poop job. Is every sequel, and it wasn't. I don't know what
he's talking about the cow the horse manure, him crashing
the
into
manure.
it.
Oh,
the horse manure.
I mean,
yeah,
I don't see how that was such a bad thing. Crispin Glover's dancing in Friday the 13th, though. Yes,
yeah, he was in that. Yeah.
Tony says, and Leah Thompson also fell in love with the duck in Howard the Duck. Yeah, disgusting, horrible movie. Triborough says, always wanted to know what happened during the time Marty was sleeping and woke up in present day 1985 when he goes to the garbage and sees his new garage and sees his new pickup truck. We're never going to know, Triborough. That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Haas says the Ghostbusters theme song was ripped off of an original Huey Lewis song that he did for Ghostbusters. There was a lawsuit. Yeah, they did sound similar. I remember that. There was a lawsuit about it. Tony says, yeah, Nate, I like a lot of remakes, but those remakes are bad. Well, you know what? To you, but some of the ones you like are bad to me. So, I don't know. You love Tony Remake Chappie. That's your name. Love you, Tony. Triborough says, I don't think either of those two songs sound alike. They're definitely reaching there, Hoss McPizza. Huey was reaching. Triborough, he's a music man. He knows his stuff.
He knows, yeah.
And last but not least, I didn't hate it, but I thought okay, Tony talking about How to Train Your Dragon. I'm not even going to read the rest of this. And
all
then
right.
Jay says, leave Howard the Duck. You brought it up. You, Jay, not you specifically, but the chat brought it up. Okay? I didn't bring it up. That movie stinks. I'm sorry.
That's true. All right. Well, so then next thing you know, the movie was not supposed to have a sequel because they were just like, they didn't have an idea, but they decided to because they were like.
Ended. The movie started and ended.
Yes.
Fine.
It did. It was fine. Then they show the flying car, and I went, Sake Bleu. That thing is awesome, right? The flying DeLorean, which I was like, holy crap. Well, in let me put my
89.
notes. Where the hell am I? I think it's 89. Yeah. 1989 came out, and Back to the Future came out to $332.6 million for the sequel. Okay? I remember this vivid because McDonald's had the toys. and the toys were dope. And I think I have one upstairs in my attic somewhere. The toys were dope. Ooh. So it was the car, and you go and you push it back, and it goes and in the back it scrapes, so you see the blue light, and you let it go, and it goes. Yeah, it looks all like whatever. That's back then toys. I don't know if you guys got that now, but back then you scratch it real fast, and then you see the stuff going on. But I remember those toys. And then in part 3, they had the McDonald's with the the flying train, and you do the same thing.
The train?
Yeah, it was really cool. I'm not gonna lie, but
worked so good last time. Let's make it a train.
It did. It was pretty. It was pretty cool. So all right. So I want to pull up the actual official tissue numbers here. So $40 million budget, which you could tell. Yeah. $332 million, which is still a successful movie. They made back triple the budget. Plus, I'm gonna be honest with you, Nate. Watching this on 4K, some of the CGI did not look good.
Yeah,
some of it didn't look good.
8 times its budget back. And I agree. This was my first time watching these all on 4K, mind you.
Okay.
Never. Matter of fact, okay, I gotta give you quick. I did not see Back to the Future 2. I bought that Blu-ray trilogy. I watched Back to the Future 1. I didn't even watch 2 or 3.
Oh, wow.
I did not. The first time I saw Back to the Future 2 was in 2020, okay? And the only reason I know is because I saw it at the theater. Because this was when COVID was going on, and Florida refused to close. So movie theaters were open, but there was no new movies. So they were playing old movies at like all the movie theaters. So I actually saw Back to the Future 2 in a movie theater in 2020 for like $5. That was my first time seeing it. This is my second time watching it. So I've seen this movie just second time and first time on 4K.
So I'm not a big fan of part 2 growing up.
Because neither am I. I feel like it's overrated.
It's a very overrated movie. It's very, like, even watching it now, I was like, when I was when I saw it when I was younger, I was just like, yo, the flying car is dope. But other than that, I was just like, I'm not too crazy with the storyline. 42-year-old Alex, I sat down today and I watched these 3 back to back to back. So, and when I was watching part 2, I'm like, I'm not feeling part 2 like as part 1. Part 1 was just an anomaly of a good film, a great film. Part 2, I'm like, it had fun stuff in it, Nate. It has some fun stuff, good ideas. Yes. But I think losing Crispin Glover as the dad, George McFly, kind of hindered the movie a bit. Because I think if he was in the movie, you will see more parts of him in the movie, you know, interacting with Marty in the future or whatever, with Biff more. They were hiding his ass because they booted him. But I don't know. I just felt like this movie wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. So I know people are going to be hating on it, but I'm not. I think there's a lot of good aspects of the film. But in overall, I wasn't too crazy with it. I was just like,
Tony coming in crazy.
Oh, of course he's going to be doing crazy. Better. Yeah.
Okay, look, I agree with you, Alex. So at least if anyone gets mad, they get mad at both of us. But I will say this. let me backtrack a little bit. I think the movie's fine. Like, I think it's good. But when you're coming off of like one of the best 80s, like a flawless 10 out of 10 movie, and the sequel is not that, I don't find it to be that. But it's a good, like, I give the movie like a 7 out of 10. Like, I think it's entertaining. You know what I mean? It's a little zanier than the first movie. Like, they lean into the comedy more, but it's not all super funny, but there is some funny parts. But the plot is nowhere near as good as Back to the Future 1. Not even close. It's way too much going on. Triborough said it best. I think he said, I like having the idea of having characters from the first film set in the future, but some of the stuff was really confusing involving young and old Biff, and I couldn't agree. There's a lot of confusing, like, stuff with the time travel and how it would work and how this should affect that. Also, I think a lot of people that like that, well, older people, that grew up maybe with Back to the Future 2, the future part is like what's most memorable in this movie, with the Nikes, the Nikes that.
Oh yeah, the auto laces. Yeah.
And
The
those
jacket.
came out, by the way. Yeah, my cousin has a pair, and everyone was going crazy for them.
Dude,
The
those are
hoverboard.
$30,000 to buy. Oh, well, at the time it was 5,000.
Yeah, they're more now because they're rare.
They're super. No one could afford them. I wanted a pair,
like,
and I was like, no, I'm not paying that shit. Like, no. And they don't auto lace. The original ones never auto laced. The newer ones, I believe, do. But yeah.
So you have those. You have the hoverboard.
That I wanted, and I really wanted it to hover. I don't care what anyone. Those shit's dope, bro. I ain't gonna lie. The hoverboards were dope. Yeah. You're right. Like there's aspects of the movie that was really good. The flying cars were cool, but it wasn't all the time. Yeah. It was like quick. I thought that was cool. Like even when the door, look, it's a $40 million budget. It's 1989, so I'm not gonna knock the technology what they had to use. But some of it was kind of iffy, bro. Like, even on 4K, when they show the DeLorean, he goes, oh, we got to make a right. And he goes to right. It looks like it just looks CGI-ish. And then when it starts to land, you could tell it's the real car on a crane going down. And it's, like, super slow. So it's like, I was just like, it could have been done better. I mean, it could have been. Yeah. But, I mean, it is like what it is, but yeah.
Remember this movie for that section. Yeah. Because once they go back to 1985 or 86 or whatever it is, to me, the movie slows down so bad when Biff with the casino and the murder, there's like it becomes like a murder mystery about his dad.
George.
What the heck is this? Bro, this movie's on crack. And then they go back to 1955 again, and it's too much. It's too much. I think the sequel tried to do too much. You replace the girlfriend. I mean, you can't get that mad because it's Elizabeth Shue, who's also gorgeous, but she was super pretty in the first one. And now you get Elizabeth Shue. And this is supposed to be like, doesn't this start like the day after or like?
No, the same day. The same day.
Of the first movie, and everyone looks a little older, because it's 4 years later.
Yeah.
Even Marty looking a little older.
They all look older. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, you said it the best. Like, they had to reenact a lot of the famous scenes they did in 1985. So they did 4 years later. They had to redo the same thing they did. So, and then there was a part, and I don't know if you caught it. The original Jennifer, when she's getting in, when the DeLorean hits the cans and he goes, I need fuel. And then he's picking up the thing, right? And he's like, we gotta do something about your kids, Marty. And she's standing there and she has like this cold face look, right? Because she's looking at them going, she's like trying to like, what is going on? But then when it's Elizabeth Shue, she's like, what is going on? Like she has this face like, I'm like, oh my God. Like you could tell like they rehearsing this. Like she's just like, like this shock face, like our kids.
That's another thing. Like Jennifer, she's in the movie and then just gets like goes to sleep.
Throws in the garbage. Doctor her ass in the garbage. He did a 6-day in the car. He said, get this bitch out the car and throw her in the garbage.
She was dead for 1.5 movies. I'm like, bro, what happened to Jennifer?
She was talking so much. Doc said, shut the fuck. She zaps her, and he said, get this bitch out the car.
Bro, he hit her with that Men in Black memory. He's like, she can't remember this. Forget about it. Jennifer can never know. And then literally, she's dead, and then he goes to the bench at the end of the bench, and he kisses her back to life like Snow White. She's like, what?
Yo, but what kills me is that Doc could have just left her in the car, do his errands. She's still knocked out, but he literally threw her like a piece of trash. And then he goes, we gotta go get Jennifer. The cops pick her up and take her. He's like, great Scott. I just fucked up.
Remember when Marty asks, he's like, bro, when Jennifer wakes up on the bench, and Doc is like, you won't remember anything. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, I that is funny and true. But I think it's kind of one of those things of the writing, like the script for 2. I think it's too much. So I do think part 2 itself is a little overrated in the way I have heard people talk about it, because I think it's good. But
Yeah.
like I know people who say stuff like, "Oh, it's better than the first one," and I do
No, it's
not.
not.
I don't
No.
see that. I don't understand it or agree with it. I think one is flawless, and this is flawed, but fun. You know,
It,
it's still entertaining.
but you said some things that are right. Like for me, I get confused and lost is when Doc goes back to his old house and is all abandoned, and he starts explaining the time continuum alternate reality, and I'm like, what just happened? Like he's like, if we jump from here, there'll be a 1985 and an alternate reality, and I was just like, what? So like, and I'm just like, oh no. But you're right, they jumped too many times in this movie. They went from 85. Future, well, technically
2015.
Present, yeah, 2015 back to 85. Well, it's an alternate reality of 85 to jump back to 1955 to get the sports almanac, to head back to 1985.
Yep.
And then from there they go to 1809.
It's a letter from 1885.
But okay, so we should talk about that now. So Doc, okay, so what happens is, at the end of the movie, Marty saves the day. He gets the sports almanac. Cool. Doc is still flying on this car with a hanging, which I don't understand how he did not know he caught something, because he has rearview mirrors on the car for a reason. But anyway, it is what it is. He has this rope with like flags on it, and he gets hit with a bolt of lightning. And the funny thing is, when he's moving, he's like, Marty, he's like, I have to maneuver to get a landing or something. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever. He has all that space in the air, but he had to do it right there. It is what it is. And while doing so, he turns on, because you hear the time circuits go on when he hits the bump. So you hear it go, and I'm like, he did not know he turned the damn time circuits on. But then all of a sudden, Marty said the magical word. He's like, hey, Doc, you almost got hit by a strike of lightning, and all of a sudden get hit by lightning. Thing falls, and then this rain guy, and then it looked like a mafioso guy was coming out from a mobster. He's like, "You're Marty McFly," and he's like, "Yeah."
Western Union.
And he comes in mad hardcore. He's like, this, like he's about to take a gat and shoot him, and he's like, "This is for you." And it's a letter from Doc from 1809 or something like that.
1885.
1885. So he's back in the Western, and he's like, Doc is alive, and like the guy knows who the hell Doc is, and he's like, and then bam, he meets the Doc from that 1955 to push him back to 1885.
No,
it's confusing. It's very
I
confusing.
say, this, if I would have seen this, and I'm not lying, if I would have seen this movie when it came out in the theater, and the movie ended the way this movie ended, I would have been mad. It's not. It doesn't even end. It just stops, and it says to be continued, like it's a TV show. And then you get a weird, bro. This is, why did they leave this in? I'm watching the 4K, and the movie ends, and it says coming to theaters summer 1990.
Yes, and then you see them westerns, and I was like, what?
Why is that still in there? It's clearly not coming out or it came out already. It's such a weird. Why'd they just remove the text? I don't know why they left it in.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you're right. I will say this. I'm not gonna say it's one of the worst endings in a movie.
Not an ending.
No,
just
it's
a
not an
stopping
ending.
point.
I think it's one of the worst cliffhangers in the movie. Because I agree with my man Jiggy over here, Gigolo. He's right. There is no other way they could have sent Doc back to the future besides getting hit with a bolt of lightning. Like, you could have did it instead of being in the air, maybe he could have been driving with Biff on the one way. You know what I mean? And then when he comes out the tunnel, lightning hits the car by mistake. You know what I mean? Like, it just hits the flux capacitor and he goes poof, and Marty rolls out, or he jumps in Biff's car or something like that. Like on a drive-by, like they go 80.
Yeah.
I don't know. That flying thing was so anticlimactic.
I want to talk about. I want to go to the chat real quick, because this is there's a lot of great conversation for part 1 and now part 2. So Tony says, no, Triborough. I like the idea. Okay, Triborough. No, Hoss McPizza. Back to the Future 2 was a lot more fun to watch than it is to actually live right now. He said the future in the movie is more fun than current present time.
Okay.
Triborough says, I like the idea of having the characters from the first movie set in the future. Some of the stuff was really confusing involving young and old Biff. Agreed. Tony says, Back to the Future Part 2, I like it more than the first one. I like how they expand the world, especially in the future, and Biff Casino is great. but the only issue is they side the McFly girlfriend. I disagree with 80% of that statement, but that's okay. That's his opinion. Triborough says the sequel felt rushed just to get it out to the public. Why are there so many rain scenes? Yeah, why they got them rain things out in full force? Jay says Cubs win the World Series. That's right. It predicted that.
Yeah, but the Mets
No one else
bumped them in 2015.
They got the wrong year, but they were close.
They were super close, yeah.
Tony says Zemeckis and Bob Gale originally didn't want to do a sequel, but Sid Steinberg, the head at Universal Studios, said you either do it or we're doing it without you, so they did it. McFly's girlfriend, Jennifer, is sidelined and does nothing. Triborough says the coolest thing about the sequel were the flying cars and Marty's Air Mag Nikes. Exactly, that's what I feel like that's what most people remember.
And the bag was dope too. The bag that he was holding in, and he hit the button and it turns transparent. I was like, yo, that's kind of hot. I was like, those were kind of dope.
All the future stuff is like the most memorable. Oh, I got one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, let me read, and then I'll tell you one thing, and then we go to 3. Back to the time travel ages you. Cal says Scott says Back to the Future is very overrated. There, I said it. And then Cal says he's never seen that. Then Triborough says this one, part 2, it's not a classic at all. No. What was that really the best way to send back to 1885? Doc back. Tony says it has one of the best cliffhanger endings of all time.
No.
Total disagree.
Hell no.
And then Triborough says this was better than the one compared to part 1's cliffhanger, Tony. And then Cal says to be continued. So it's basically a Marvel movie. And then Tony said, Triborough, part 1 wasn't intended to be a sequel before it happened. Okay. And then Triborough says the ending of 2 could have been better, in my opinion, Tony. Okay. Real quick, and then I got 1 point, and then let's go. I agree with Triborough. And Alex, you said it. The end of 1 with him coming with the flying car it's not a cliffhanger in the sense of, it's a non-finish. The movie ends, but that is a cooler side of like, what is that? What did he do? Where did he go? What did he see?
Yeah.
Then freaking Marty in part 2 at the end being like, he's gone. And it's not even a real cliffhanger because right when it ends, they show a trailer for the next movie. So it kind of ruins any cliffhanger. It's not a cliffhanger. It just says to be continued. And then you see they go to the Old West. So it's like, okay, well, thank you.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't end with like it ends with part 1. It ends with Doc and he meeting Doc and he's like, oh, I just sent you to the future. He says, no, I came back to the future. And then he goes, dun, 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 dun. He went, great Scott. And then he falls on the floor. You're absolutely right. And it says to be continued. That is a lackluster ending. I would have preferred the DeLorean going one-on-one with the Chevy down the tunnel, hitting 88 miles per hour, and you'll see the flux capacitor. They're fighting in the car. Like you see Marty jumping back and forth with the hovercraft, whatever it is, with the doors open. And by mistake, he bumps Doc, and Doc hits the time circuits while they're driving mad fast. And you never know. Then all of a sudden, he grabs the sports almanac, and he falls there. When they come out the tunnel, lightning hits the car, and it just Biff is like, what the hell? And, chaos erupts. But I'd rather have some type of climactic fight between the cars bumping each other, riding, than him flying. And tell me you did not laugh when he grabbed the sports almanac, and he's in the middle of the tunnel with the hoverboard, and he still makes it to the other side with a speeding car on the other end of the. And I was just like, no way, man.
My main problem too with the story of part 2 is
repetitive.
At the beginning, the future part is not. It's mostly inconsequential except for the sports almanac, and even that, like by the end of the movie, with that thing going to the Old West, none of it really matters that much in the grand scheme. What happens in part 2 because of the way part 3 plays out. You know what I mean? So this middle section feels weird. What I was going to say that I hate, and then we could go to 3. This movie started the trend of Michael J. Fox playing like all the characters, and I don't like it. Like he's playing his sister, or no, his daughter.
No, his daughter. Yeah.
He's playing his old self, his daughter, his son.
Yep.
And then in the third one, he plays his great-great-grandfather. So you're telling me Michael J. Fox and his great-great-grandma, why does she look like his mom? She should not. Okay.
Because I have a feeling is that they couldn't get Crispin Glover back. and they had to put someone that resembles Marty McFly. It's not
No.
that he was
That's what I
McFly.
mean. How does Leah Thompson play both his actual mom and his great grandma? That would mean they kept getting married, like their kids kept getting married, and that doesn't make any sense.
I just think it's like destiny was George McFly and Lorraine, whatever her name is, that they were destined in time. Like they were just you know what I mean? Like they were soulmates.
No.
If you want to look at it. That's what they're trying to go with. But I can see it's just I know what you mean. But
yeah, it doesn't make sense. That means
just,
George McFly and Leah Thompson in the future would actually be brother and sister. Like it doesn't, because if you get that's
no,
like,
I know what you mean in terms of the family tree. Yeah, it's just a weird thing. It just could be a coincidence.
Actress to play.
Yeah,
it's just what I'm saying.
It was just
doesn't make
everyone
sense.
wanted to see her.
But it doesn't make any sense.
No, I mean, part 2 didn't make a lot of sense.
You know what? You could have Leah Thompson in the movie, and she could have been like a bartender, and her great granddaughter was gonna marry the McFly's great grandson. That makes more sense than it being also that person. So anyway, okay, let's go to part 3.
All right. So anyway, Doc wrote this dude a letter, right? Yep. And they made another sequel. So this movie was another $40 million budget for the Western. $245 million. So they didn't make as much. And I think the reason it didn't make so much is because this thing literally came out 5 months later in the theater. I believe it did. I think it. 1990. Yeah, I think it came out a year later or a few months down the road. I got to see like the release dates of both, how this worked out. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Nate. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. Rewatching this today, I watched this in my pool. While I was in my pool chilling. I kind of like part 3 better than part 2. Oh, yeah, it was 6. Yeah, I knew it was like 5 or 6. I'm gonna be honest with you, Nate. I kind of like part 3 better than part 2. Not than part 1, but I was saying I think I enjoyed part 3 way more because it wasn't all the stupid time travel back and forth. It was all surrounded in the West. So I will say it, and I mean we'll talk about whys and stuff, but I'll just say for right now, I enjoyed 3 more than part 2 due to not being crazy. But what did you think of part 3?
I actually think that, and again, I don't think any of these movies are bad. I don't. I think even 2, I think is like it's good. It's just not good when compared to 1. I think 2 is the most overrated movie in the franchise, and I think 3 is the most underrated. Because I agree. I think it for some reason, a lot of people act like it's a lesser movie because it's set in the Old West, and the other 2 you're used to jumping around either modern times or future, or if it goes to the past, it's not that far, 50s. For this one to be all set in the West, Old West, I think that throws people off. And the funny thing is, if you look at like the Rotten Tomato scores, this one has a higher critic score than part 2. So, and I tend to agree. I do think 3 is the better movie. I think it's easier to follow. It's not convoluted for the sake of being convoluted. It definitely tonally feels more like part 1.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yes, it does.
It's more about the characters. It's more about like Doc Brown has a love story. Like it's pretty simple stuff. And then the outcome will affect, them getting home. That's ultimately the main thing. But part 3 definitely feels more like 1 than part 2 does.
And I thought it was way more funnier than part 2.
It's funnier. Yeah.
Like it has some funny, like I was laughing in the pool. Like I was just like, yo, I don't remember this part. And I'm laughing my ass like when they're in the barn and you see the big machine and you're like, what the hell is this guy making? And the whole thing's going, it looked like a Willy Wonka contraction, and you see it going off, and next thing you know, like one ice cube come out. He goes, hey, you want iced tea? And he goes, no, I'm good. And he whipped out like a can of thing like this, and he's like, one iced tea?
All his inventions. Yeah, the little egg cracking thing that's making breakfast.
Yeah, so like I think that's why I like part 3 now more than part. Like I didn't like part 3 back then, but now I think I like 3 way better than part 2 because I kind of enjoy. Like I didn't notice. Did you notice this? So because Doc saved Claire, right? It's no longer Claire's ravine, right? Because when the thing fell. Right. Yep. When he went back in time and he's on the railroad track, it says Eastwood ravine because Clint Eastwood fell off the track. And I went, sacre bleu. I was like,
See?
that makes sense because Clint Eastwood was.
Continuity.
Yes, meaning everyone remembers Marty McFly's character on the train with Doc, but Doc survives. So technically, he didn't. So it's now Eastwood Ravine instead of the Claire because he rewrote history. Like, I didn't know. I was just like, yo, this is really interesting. Like, I didn't think of that. And honestly, I thought the car looks not the best, but I think the car looked dope with the tires because it looked jacked up and it was like suspended when it was. I thought it was cool. I don't know. I felt like part 3 was really good, and the love story with Doc was really way better than Jennifer and Marty. I liked it. I
love
felt
Mary
more.
Steenburgen. She's the love interest. Great actress. Love her. I feel like I like her in every movie she's in. Even like when she's like older, like in the 2000s and stuff. I always like her. Biff's like great grandfather, whatever. Hilarious.
My man, Mad Dog. Oh, that's my boy, son. Oh,
so funny in this movie. When they make him put the guns at the thing, and then the knife, and then he goes, he has that little tiny gun. He puts it up. He wants to dance with her. He has this little. Like, I don't know why it makes me laugh so much, but maybe just because it's so small. But it's like he has that little gun and he's dancing with her and he's like doing all this,
dragging her
stuff.
around. Yeah.
And he always looks all dirty. Yeah, dude. I think I like it. I again, I don't think it's close to the first, but I think it's good.
No, I agree. Like the first, I mean, let's just be honest. The first one is the best one in everyone's like thing. But I'm gonna be honest with you.
Not Tony's.
I love Mad Dog Tannen in this one. I love when McFly was like, "You jerk," and he's like, "What is this jerk?" And the guy goes, "I don't know." He's like, "I don't know what the jerk means." He looks around. I thought that was funny. And then when he shoots Marty McFly, he does this thing like he's holding the gun and he's like, like he killed someone and he's like making fun of him. He's like, I don't know.
He's making him dance and he starts doing the moonwalk.
Yeah.
What the heck are you doing? What the heck are you doing? That makes me laugh. And the other part that made me laugh is when that bartender makes that like wake up juice for Doc.
Oh, yeah, with all
like,
the
all that
videos,
stuff.
yeah.
And he like, he gets up, he runs, he falls in the water, and he's still asleep.
Yeah.
The guy's like, no, that's just like the tremor or whatever. You gotta give him a few more minutes, and then he'll wake up. Like,
and then my other one is when he ties up Marty, or when he shots him down. He goes, "You owe me $5 for whatever and $75 for the whiskey.
Yeah.
That makes it." And he's like, "Listen," and Marty goes, "80." He goes, "That's $80," because he can't count. That shit was funny. He paused to wait for everyone. And I don't know, man. I thought, honestly, I thought it was really, and I love the train scene. I think, you know what? And I don't know if you thought about this. I mean, we all know the outcome of the movie, and I don't know if the audience did too, but I felt like in terms of danger, and I'm talking about danger of these main characters getting killed, I felt it in the West, because the West, anyone could get shot and you're dead. So for me, I felt like the sense of danger in Back to the Future was part 3, because you did not know where it happens. And when you saw Doc die, you're like, oh, damn, like my man got shot after he wrote the letter to Marty. So like, it tells you like, man, it is a sense of danger. Like anything could pop off anytime. And I like that. We didn't get that with the first 2 stories because those stories were more of him going back in time, interacting with his parents, and then he had to figure out how to get back. This one I kind of like, because Marty had to go, and Doc was telling him, "Don't come for me, just leave whatever in the machine." And that was kind of weird too, just leave whatever there and I'll fix the DeLorean and come back. But I don't know, I just felt like the sense of danger for me was in this one. I was like, whoa, but I liked it. I thought it was good. My only part, I hated the Claire lady. Like, it really pissed me off, and it still pissed me off even watching it as a kid and watching it now, is when she's on the train and she's like, and Doc almost made it to the DeLorean, and she's like, Emmett! And he's like, Claire! And then Marty's like,
I love you.
Yeah, I love it. And then, Marty puts the hoverboard and he grabs it and then he just goes off. And then I love that train scene was so well designed, like the DeLorean behind it. Like each log goes off and it goes faster. And I felt the tension, bro. Like when it was like, the yellow dot is gonna blow. It's like, boom. You see the thing going fast and they're flying. The car is going. Dude, I honestly enjoyed this one way more than part 2. And it's crazy to say because I love part 2's car design. The flying car is dope. But there's something about the train track and the car. Another danger, too. Because remember, Doc said, he goes, I think I calculated it right there. It will go 88 miles per hour. It doesn't make, like, it could work, but it did. I mean, at the end, because he calculated. I don't know. I liked it. I thought the movie was, I enjoyed it more than part 2. Yeah.
I like the beginning, too. Like, the first 20, before he goes to the Old West.
Oh, dude,
like,
that was so funny.
Doc Brown, the old Doc Brown, or the young version of him.
Yeah, the 55 version.
That drive-in theater thing. And even that transition, like, when he drives and you think he crashes into a wall, and then all of a sudden there's actually
the actual Indians
riding the horses. They start reversing. Like, the movie's good. I will say, what I think, how they're kind of flip-flopped, is I think part 2 starts off really good and then goes off the rails. And I feel like part 3 starts off pretty good, but gets better as it goes.
Yeah.
So, and like a larger portion of 3 is good or better than a large portion of 2. So I don't know. You know, it's one of those things, like, if you would have asked me,
well, I would have said this is bad.
These, I would have thought 2 was better, but this second time watching it, and I remember seeing it at the theater thinking, like, it's okay, it was fine. But this time I felt the same way, and I thought, I don't know, I thought I was gonna like it better. So let's go to the chat to see what people said.
Yeah.
Cubs win the World Series. Back to the Future. Okay, here's where Scott said Back to the Future's overrated. Okay, Tony says Tripro. Part 1 wasn't intended to be in that. Okay. Scott says, hold on, let me get my bulletproof vest. I don't know what's more overrated, the Back to the Future trilogy or the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Definitely the Elm Street movies, because some of those suck. None of these movies suck. So that would be more overrated. And Trevor says, now that would have been a better ending, Alex, the one you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Part 3 made up for the disastrous sequel. Much better film. So Triborough likes 3 as well. I wasn't a fan of the Wild West storyline when I was younger, but I appreciate it now, many years later. Similar to what you said. When you first saw it, didn't like it. Now older, like it. Tony says, Back to the Future Part 3, while it's the weakest of the trilogy, it's very fun, and I love the Western aspect of it, and Mary Steenburgen was a great addition to the franchise. The storyline was solid, and the ending was great and was a great way to end the trilogy. Triborough says, the weakest of the trilogy? Hashtag hot take Tony. That's hot right. Take. But Triborough says, this was really the first time Doc had a love interest in the trilogy. Exactly. They gave
because he said it, too.
Other than
he
just
said
do
it.
science.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you see they fixed up the messed up? He said that the car now, he was like, the car runs on gas, but the the flux capacitor, he needs the plutonium, the plutonium charge to hit the, to whatever, to bust it. Because the problem that I had, and I was telling my wife, even watching it first, I was like, yeah, the car runs on plutonium. And she's like, no, it runs on gas. I said, no, it runs on plutonium in the first movie, because when the car is depleted, it says plutonium chamber empty. I was like, so I don't know how he got the damn car to run, but maybe, again, 85, he could have just changed out a lot of parts to put gasoline to run. But I'm like, in technical terms, when Dr. Emmett Brown is talking to Marty on the video camera, he says, and Marty says, does this car runs on unleaded? He goes, no. This sucker's electrical, meaning that he needs the plutonium to charge up the plutonium, the whole so
it's electric.
Yeah, it's electric. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, he needed a plutonium. Now they fixed it in part 3 because he was like, we need the gasoline, because a lot of people, he was like, how the hell did he get back in part 1?
And then and then at the end when he comes in the train, he said, it runs on steam. It's like the first thing he says is how the train works. Literally, the door's open. He's like, it runs on steam. Here's my kids. Okay, Triborough says we can say blah, blah, blah. Jay, November of '89 for part 2, May of 1990.
Oh,
part
wow.
3 was 6 months apart. Mad Dog was great, but I prefer my guy Biff more. That's Tony. Triborough says this really should have been part 2 to the original instead of the third. And then Triborough says the scene where Mad Dog shoots at Marty's feet in the saloon and tells him to dance, and he starts doing the moonwalk. Yep, exactly. Hilarious. Yeah. He said this movie felt like a finale. Marty took a back seat. Doc was the focus for the storyline. In the 80s Back to the Future cartoon, they created it around part 3 storyline, and Doc has the train as his vehicle instead of the DeLorean. That's right. Tony says, question, do you guys think Back to the Future should be remade?
No. No.
Leave it. It doesn't need. I think it is a great trilogy.
Yeah,
I
it's a
do.
good
I
one.
think it's a great trilogy. An amazing first movie, and then like 2 good sequels. You know what I mean? I don't think any of these movies. I would not call any of them bad. I wouldn't. I would say flawed. Part 2 is flawed, but it's still entertaining, and part 3 is less flawed, but just not as amazing as 1. So it's like I don't think they need to be touched. I think it's a perfectly fine trilogy, and I do think watching them back to back to back is actually a really good way to watch them because they're all set like really close together. There's no like 2 years later, Marty's walking. You know what I mean? Like it's like this happens and this happens and this happens. So honestly, if you're gonna do them, do a little marathon. Watch them all 3 back to back. It works really well. Just like as a trilogy, as a unit of movies.
You know, it was kind of funny. I forgot to switch the logo, but it was kind of funny where when the arrow stuck the gas fuel line, and he goes, "Hey Doc," he's like, "The gasoline is gone," and he goes, "You know, we could go somewhere and pick it up." And he goes, "What time are you thinking?" He's like, he goes, "It's not gonna be for another couple of years. Like, there's no gasoline in 1885." Like,
Yeah,
I thought that was mad funny.
Coal.
Yeah, like I don't know. I felt, and then they had my boy the ZZ Top.
Right.
I thought that song was that song is not like a real song. They just made it for the movie.
Yeah, it was made for the movie.
Yeah, I thought that was dope. I like the festival. I was like, we need festivals in this life. The town gets together and play.
Festivals.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I like I like you got to see how Hill Valley started. Like the clock tower, them taking a photo on it, because technically it's kind of iconic. They went back in time on it. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. I felt like this movie, I thought it was pretty cool. But the only thing is, it's very repetitive. Like all 3 of these movies are repetitive. It's the same style. You got the manure stuff. You got, the mother's waking him up in the years of whether it's 1885, 1955, or 1985. So it's like all the Biff versions, but my favorite Biff version so far is Mad Dog. Oh, he's him and the other gang. I don't know why.
The worst one is Griff or whatever.
Griff from part 2 with the iron.
Helmet?
You better not be doing something more.
Crazy. He's the worst one. Like that.
Doc said, "You better not run into Griff. He has a little circuit loose in his brain."
He's like walks around with a metal bat and he has a tiny little metal hat.
He had like the weird speech impediment. He was like, "McFly, you better not be here when I come back in an hour."
And remember little Elijah Wood at the arcade?
That was him?
Like, that was Elijah Wood. And he's like, "You got to touch it with your hands? This is for babies." Yeah, that was Elijah Wood.
Oh, wow. And then Michael Jackson was in the TV, or was that like a bootleg Michael Jackson?
Fake Michael Jackson. Where he's reading you the menu, and then the other one is Ronald Reagan, and he's reading you the menu. Yeah, you know what? It's funny, and the funny thing is, like, being made in '89, showing 2015 that they would have a retro kind of cafe like that. I mean, I feel like places like that definitely exist. And there's a lot of funny little Easter eggs, like the Jaws 19 thing, and it's made by, what was it, like Max Spielberg or something?
Yeah.
It's like his son or whatever. He's like, this time it's really, really personal or whatever. It was pretty funny. Like, there were some good little jokes.
There was a lot of jokes. Like, even when the bartender in part 3 is pouring the whiskey in the little shot glass, and when it hit the wood, you saw smoke come out, because that's how strong and proof it is.
Oh, yeah. It's just like steaming.
Yeah, you saw steam, and I was like, oh my god. Me and my wife was laughing at that. I was just like, man, that thing was like 200,000 proof.
Just instantly drunk.
Yeah. He was like, how many did he have? He only had one. Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool jokes I don't know. Throughout all of them, they had great jokes. I thought they were funny. But yeah, it's just I don't know what to say. But you want to rank them? Where you
Let's
go?
do it. I think we're gonna have the same exact ranking. But
I think so too. All right. So what is your number 3? Everyone could rank yours down there.
Yeah.
What's your number 3?
In the chat. My number 3 is actually Back to the Future Part 2. I think it's good. I think there's moments, and I think there's moments of bad, like bad, like just this is not good. This is silly and confusing and too much old Biff, and I don't like the murder mystery thing, and so yeah, definitely 2 would be my third.
Yeah, I agree. 2 for me is part is not the worst, but it's for me it's up there. I didn't like 2 as much, and even watching it, I felt like 2, Marty died in it. Like the scene in the roof, I felt like they were hinting that that version of Marty died because he kept looking at the edge of the building when he had the gun up, and I'm like, did he die? Like, did Doc come to this future because he knew Marty died? Because remember, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So him going to that roof wasn't like, I'm gonna go get the sports almanac. That already happened. But did Doc see Marty fall off that? Like he fell, he got shot and fell off the building. Like, is it? Because I'm like, you know what? I think he saw Marty die in part 2 because there's a reason why he went to the roof. Yeah. So running away from his, Biff. But I don't know. It could just be a theory or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I didn't like 2 as much. So, and I assume your number 2 is going to be part 3. I mean, across the board.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I give it a slight edge. Like, I gave part 2 a 7 out of 10. And I would give part 3 like a 8, like a soft 8 out of 10. I think it's the better the better sequel of the 2 sequels.
I mean, 3 is mine too. I like part 3 now more than part 2. And I love, it's funny, and I give Robert Zemeckis a lot of credit, is that I like that in this iteration of the DeLorean, I love that when it went in time, it looked different. You saw it looked like, it's not like the other way it looked. This one had like more of this cool, like, copper look.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like electricity almost, like
yeah, because he had those bulbs on top of the hood. So I was like, it kind of looked, I think it looked better than the part 2 version. I think it looked way better than part 1 will always look cool because it had the lightning crashing all over the place. But this one kind of looked cool with the copper, like you said, the electric bulbs going off. So to me, it looked cool. But anyway, yeah, I'll go with 3. And of course, our number 1 will be Back to the Future 1.
It's 1.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, one of the best. I feel like watching this is like when we did RoboCop on the Action Movie Guys podcast.
Yeah.
Where, like, it's an 80s movie that is like an all-timer, will never not be good. You know what I mean? Like, holds up. And I think one of the reasons it holds up well is because even though it starts off in the 80s, it doesn't feel super dated because they go back to the 50s. So it doesn't matter because it's not even set really in the decade it's made, which kind of makes it have like a more timeless feel to it. But yeah, part 1 is
and it doesn't rely on technology. It's not like he has phones and stuff that are outdated because they're back then in the 80s and there was no phone. So it was just, they have video cameras but that's cool because when he took that to 1955, Doc was like, hey, what is this? And you could record yourself. That's me. I have gray hair. He was like, I look good.
Yeah, it holds up well because of that.
Yeah, no, it does. And I thought all the jokes, and I like the jokes landed well across the trilogy. But yeah.
All right, so
Tony said RoboCop 2 is very underrated and a solid follow. Oh my lord.
Tony ranked them as number 2, the best, number 1, the second best, and number 3, the third. Triborough has the same ranking as us: 1, then 3, then 2. Jay has the same ranking as us: 1, then 3, then 2. So Tony's the only one. And yeah, RoboCop 2, horrible. I mean, not as bad as 3, but it ain't good. But anyway, that's a different franchise.
No, it's a different franchise. But yeah, there you guys have it with the Back to the Future rankings. Now we're gonna be back. When is the next ranking? The next
ranking is going to be July, and we have a guest for that one. It is going to be July 27th.
A Friday? Oh, my bad. That's June. yeah, the 27th.
That was also 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Wait, what? Yeah.
July 27th will be the next ranking. Do you have did you want to tell them what it is?
Yeah, we could tell them in case they want to watch it. with
Yes.
us.
So we will have a guest. We'll be joined by Brian from B Dubs Movies, I think his name. We'll get it for sure, but
Yeah.
B Dubs movie channel, movie whatever it is on Instagram. I apologize for not knowing off the top of my head, but his name is Brian. We worked with him on another stream. He's a Mets fan like us, and we're like, you got to come on our channel. So he is going to be joining us for a ranking. Now, I said, you know what? It's July. It's the summer. Let's go with a action blockbuster type franchise. So we will be doing the 5 Die Hard films for July. So that would be, of course, Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Live Free or Die Hard, and then A Good Day to Die Hard. 5 movies, and for that one, we're going to bring back the Ocean style ranking, where it will be a collective. So Alex will give me his, Brian will give me his, and then it will be a ranking for all of us, cumulative ranking rather than each individual. So we're going to do that, I think, for the rest of the year, because everything else we're doing is like 5 or more movies.
Yeah. And then, okay, so since my kids are home for the summer, there's no way I can continue doing Sundays right now because the kids are home and I'm being swamped. It's like, Dad, let's go here. Dad, let's go there. And I got to run home to go knock on life. So right now, we're going to be doing the rankings until the kids go back to school in September, and then we'll come back with the Sundays so we could have fun and hang out with everyone. But
more frequent, you mean?
Yeah, more frequently once the kids are in school, because right now in the summer, I'm getting swamped with everything. But I will say this, for the special movies, like big movies that have come out, me and Nate are going to be going live. So doesn't mean we're just doing rankings. No. Superman, we are going to have a Superman live show after we see the movie. So the movie comes out July 11th, right?
July 11th.
I think so, right? Superman,
July
let me just look it
13th.
up.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks,
today,
right? Let me see.
we could do the live
Superman, new movie. I'm just want
the
to.
11th.
Come on, give me the stupid date. The 20. Why is this not giving me this
It's the
date?
11th.
It's the
I promise.
11th, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So we will be live on the 13th. We're doing a live. So this Sunday, the 13th of July, we're doing a Superman entire franchise, whatever the hell you guys want to talk about Superman, but we're going to be reviewing. So please, and I'm saying it right now, 2 weeks before, please watch the damn movie. And if you don't want to be spoiled, then don't come to the live show. If you want to talk about it, we will warn everybody before we talk about the new movie. But we're going to talk about the old stuff, all the characters and everything, and then I don't know how we're going to do it. I'll figure out the thing, but I just want to warn people, like, watch Superman, the new movie, if you want to join in on the festivities and all that stuff. The next also one that we're going to be doing, all the major ones, so it'll be Fast and the Furious. We'll do a live show on it whenever the hell that comes out. Jurassic Park, The Conjuring, because those are big, to me, those are big movies, right?
Jurassic World comes out this week.
Yeah, so I'm seeing it this week. We're taking Aiden, his first movie theater experience, to watch it. So maybe we'll do like a quick thing on Instagram.
Well, we're doing a franchise ranking of that
on what?
in September or something like that. So
Okay, so then we'll do a
little
quick
while after this one comes out, but it's included in a franchise ranking this year.
Yeah, so then we'll do a short one on Instagram. So instead of just doing a live, we'll do a short one on Instagram, and then we'll do the big one on the channel later down the year with all of them, with Harrison. So, all right, so there you have it. That's where you have it. So starting up will be Fast and the Furious, supposed to be next year.
Yeah, either 2026 or 2027.
Oh. Well, they just agreed. They just announced Paul Walker's in it. So.
Ha, AI. Great.
No, his brother's doing it.
Well, they're gonna do that crap again. They need to stop. It's gonna be AI still. They gotta get his voice and stuff like that. It's not gonna be him. He's dead. Let the man be. Let the man be dead. You know what I mean? Like,
Nate is mad pissed off.
And I like that franchise, but now they're making me mad.
They got pissed off.
Vin Diesel just can't let Paul Walker rest in peace. You know?
Oh shit!
His brother, and then they're gonna CGI his face, and they're gonna AI his voice, and I'm gonna be mad.
For the moment, he'll be mad. So, all right, guys. So we'll be back July 13th with the all Superman live stream. I'll put up the thumbnails and stuff.
And then 2 weeks after that, Die Hard.
Die Hard, we'll do the Die Hards and all that. Yeah, I'll set up the thumbnails and then I'll just put the live streams up. So at least you guys know what's coming and what days. So I'll work on those tonight. Now I know how to get Nate fired up. Oh yeah, that's how you trigger him.
You already get me fired up, Scott.
You say some funky stuff. But yeah. But all right. So there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back with Die Hard at the end of this month, July 27th. We'll be back with all the Die Hards. We're gonna be sitting down and talking with that Tom, the other Mets fan. I forgot his name already. I'm bad. Brian. He's gonna be sitting with us. We're gonna be talking some Die Hard John McClane and a tribute to Bruce Willis. And then July 13th, we're gonna be back with the All Superman discussion.
That one.
I don't know. That's up to you. We'll talk about that and we'll see. But with that said, be awesome to each other and everyone. Be safe and geek out.